soul has been bled. Don't know.
Hold me down, twist it round, soft the hook. There's nothing I can do.
You gotta move, man. It's so sad. Goddamn shame about it.
And the band played on. Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of our mad little online show, brought to you in association with the lovely people at Submarine Cat Music. It's our chance to sit back in the relative comfort of our lockdown homes and take the world of music to task alongside friends, colleagues, guests, and most importantly, you guys who've joined us all for the ride. Again, we're completely live, largely unplanned, and once more, totally terrified of what could happen over the next hour. As usual, proceedings will be manned by myself. I'm Joe Hazel from Curse of Lono, and my perennial partner in crime, the Aberdonian aristocrat, and a man whose charm and smooth dulcet tones recently saw him described as the heir apparent to Ken Bruce. Mr. Neil Findlay, how are you, mate? Keeping well?
I am doing very well indeed, Joe. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the chaos. Yeah, I'm doing fine this week. It's good to be back with another show. It's been a great relief to everyone, I'm sure, to see some of the restrictions on lockdown going to be lifted over the next couple of days. There is light at the end of this very long tunnel, and let's hope we've done enough of the quarantining to have broken the spread of the virus. I guess only time will tell. I do hope you're all keeping safe and well out there. And in the meantime, it's great to be back for round 2 of And the Band Played On in association with Submarine Cat Music here on the Facebook. Thanks to everyone for their comments, suggestions, and positive thoughts on last week's show. We made a few tweaks along the way this week and hope today's show is similarly as much fun, if not more, than the last. We've got some fun stuff on the way for you tonight, throughout tonight's show, so please make yourselves comfortable and enjoy what we have in store for you tonight. The boys are back in town. Let's say hello to our guests this evening. First up, the man who fronts the snarling, pulsing beast that is the Alabama 3, Mr. Larry Love. Howdy, sir.
How you doing? You all right, Rob?
I'm doing very well indeed. Second of all, the man responsible for the amazing Curse of Lono, Mr. Felix Bechtelsheimer. Good day, sir.
Hello, darling.
Good to see you back. And finally, all the way from France tonight, to the incredible Mr. John Murray. Bonjour, monsieur.
Bon nuit.
Bon nuit to you. Looking lovely there. Done your hair tonight. I like to see that. Very nice. Joe, over to you.
Well, guys, this week we're going to be discussing and debating the cover version specifically. All you music fans out there will no doubt be aware that we've seen the very good, the very bad, and the very ugly. However, we're going to get this show on the road with a video clip for you guys of an absolute barnstormer. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the Alabama 3 tearing the house down with their cover of John Prine's The Speed of the Sound of Loneliness.
Gotta run sometime.
That's fucking right, Larry.
You got a worried and jealous man. How can love that last forever? You've been so damn far behind. So tell me what the world's done over me. Why you never sleep about that? Broken the speed of the sound of loneliness. I've been running just to be on the run. So Christian Evans, yo, started being a dreadful sorrow.
Break your fucking heart, Larry.
Walk through Sydney today.
All tooled up with the kids.
We ain't gonna think about tomorrow. We ain't got one word to say. You better tell me that. What in heaven's name? You've broken the speed. You're out there. So tell me why the world's come over me. Why in the heavens name am I going? Broken the speed of the sound of loneliness. Out there running just to be on the run. Just to be on the run.
Where to, Larry?
Just to be on the run.
Who from?
The Lord above. Out there running just to be on the run. Just to be on the run.
From who?
Just to be on the run.
Be specific, Larry.
The Lord above. Out there running just to be on the run.
Extraordinary footage there, I'm sure you'll agree. That's an incredible version of a great song. Indeed, Crawford Borthwick has just messaged in to say, big it up for the big man, Jake. I'm sure you'd all agree. It's great to see that kind of footage there. Right, it's time to get into the meat and bones of today's show. As aforementioned, we're going to be discussing the cover version. We're going to be looking at the place the cover has within the world of music, the kind of care and attention that goes into covering a song properly. And later in the show, we'll be discussing the best, worst, and the weirdest cover versions out there. So with that in mind, please do message in and give us your thoughts. We'll all be choosing our best and worst covers, and we want to hear your suggestions too. We'll be reading out your lists later in the show. Moreover, please also send us your suggestions for tunes that you'd like to hear Alabama 3 or John Murray or Curse of Lono do their own version of. If we like them, maybe we'll be able to work up a version for you a bit further down the line. Right then, let's get to it. We've got a lot to get through to. And Mr. Larry Love, I want to come to you first, as we've just seen extraordinary John Prine cover there. You've covered some great songs by truly great artists, obviously John Prine, Eagles, Joy Division, to name a few. How careful, Larry, do you need to be when considering a cover? Is it as simple as just choosing a song you love by an artist you love, or do you need to be quite reverential and careful when you choose a song to go for?
Well, I'm a great believer in, I think as soon as a song is actually delivered and it's out in the ether, shall we say, that and you put it on the airwaves and people hear it, then you no longer have particularly any right to kind of circumvent any kind of interpretations of it. So I think, it's a wonderful mine in which to kind of dig around in, and something which can come up positive and negative. I think one of the most beautiful moments I heard in terms of trying to control concert cover version was when Noel Gallagher and Oasis put an injunction out against the Smurfs for doing a cover version of Wonderwall. And it was Noel Gallagher said basically, you're disrespecting my wonderful song, and you're not having it, which I thought was a bit kind of old-fashioned, really. No, so that's my spin. And I think once they're out there, you do what you want with it, good or bad. But you can't, as an artist, then stop them being resulting.
Yeah, I completely agree. Felix, with Curse of Lono, we've covered a Tom Waits song in our case, Going Out West. What was the thinking behind that, and how important do you think it is when you're considering a cover to choose a song from within your own genre? Or is it sometimes better to go a bit left field? And will we be seeing, for example, a Curse of Lono cover of a Britney Spears song or something like that?
I think it's probably more interesting to go outside your genre. Going Out West was sort of the soundtrack to my life when I was, 17. And I thought that's what the big wide world was like. And I've been wanting to cover it since then. So when we did this live in the studio, stripped back album, that was the perfect chance to throw something like that in there. And it's one of my favorite songs to play live. And it probably is within our genre, I think. But it was just, I wanted to have a crack at it. And so it's purely selfish.
And when you're covering a song by someone like Tom Waits, is there an intimidation factor to it?
Well, yeah, I mean, usually it's very hard. Like the songs that I love, I'm usually scared of doing because it's hard to make them better or to add anything to them. Like I've always been, until Mr. Murray came along and joined us on stage, I've never wanted to cover a Stones song because for me, that you're not going to improve on that. But with Tom Waits, he hides a lot of these beautiful melodies and lyrics. He puts them, he sort of buries them under all these layers, and you have to listen lots of times. And I think we sort of excavated some of that and made it maybe a little bit more accessible, So I don't think for a second we improved anything of it, but maybe we sort of, made it a little bit more accessible. And those are just the best lyrics anyone's ever written, that song.
I think, Felix, your word excavation is the right word. We excavate through the rubble to find a diamond. If you're doing a cover.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that Tom Waits song, I mean, those lyrics, I know karate and voodoo too. I'm going to make myself available to you. I mean, that's just, it's the hardest, most macho song I've ever heard. I wish I'd written it.
John, Mr. Murray. So I'm going to be a bit of a fanboy here. So I adore your cover of Warren Zevon's Genius. When you approach a cover like that, you intentional, or do you have to work to try and make it as different as possible? The original?
Oh yeah, no, because that song, that was the magic one right there. Chuck Prophet played guitar on that, but I didn't know that at the time.
Oh wow!
And I would like to add this in. When he only got to play on like 2 songs because when he met Warren, he came in and Chuck had like 3 or 4 pedals or something, and Warren Zevon just looked at him and goes, "Oh, so you're one of those 9-volt guys, huh?" Like, and just took the piss. Yeah. So Chuck didn't get to play on all that much, but that song was like, it was included. It wasn't released on a record. It was just included on a greatest hits thing called Genius at the end of it. The song is the production's so interesting, and there's like a vocoder on his voice and things, just taking all of that stuff away and presenting it. I mean, it's hilarious. Like those lines, like Mata Hari had a house in France where she, when she was working on her secret plan, she was making out like Charlie Sheen. She was a genius. It's hilarious. Like, see, that's what I'm talking about. That shit's hilarious.
Excavating, man.
Excavating. I mean, lyrically, I think with the Warren Zevon song, you can just present it. You know what I mean? Like same with Waits. Like there's a lot of stuff that's covering up what's there. So with that one, thanks, by the way, Joe. Like with that one, I thought, man, I'll just kind of go Neil Young with it. Just make it disgusting.
I get you. Mr. Neil, I'm going to come to you now. I've got a quick, I guess this applies to me as well. You've, as with me, we've played in covers bands, function bands at various points during our musical career. You've done it alongside your originals work with, obviously, Lono, but Hey Negrita and Keltus, I believe, back in the day.
Yes, that was a while back, yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of people watching music bands playing their own bands, etc., etc. A lot of them might be covers bands. Do you find that playing covers or learning other people's songs has helped build your own musical foundation in that sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the earliest part of any musician's journey in learning to play an instrument is about emulating as much of what you hear as possible. It's invaluable for any musician to learn how to cover anything from guitar licks, drum fills, and then eventually whole songs. That's what keeps you versatile, I think, as a musician. If you're playing a lot of varied covers. I mean, the wedding band circuit is great for getting your chops together as a musician. As you know, you've done that circuit a few times.
I mean, like I still do it on the side, and it kind of destroys my soul in a way. But at the same time, it doesn't only help you as a musician. Around it, a certain degree of professionalism, etc., etc. It really does help, and you learn a lot by covering other people's songs, which is what I want to ask you, Larry, as a songwriter. Do you find that when you're analysing and then reinterpreting someone else's song, do you learn from it yourself? Do you learn from it and grow and improve as a songwriter?
Well, yeah, well, very much so. I think that is, as any artist, I mean, I think, I'm not saying we are separate or different from listeners, but as a musician, there's a certain education and a kind of discipline that comes with taking on someone else's kind of material. I think a great example of the furthest reaches of that is someone like, John Coltrane, or Miles Davis, taking kind of my favorite thing. John Coltrane took my favorite things and turned it into a 20-minute jazz opus. Miles Davis took the Cyndi Lauper song, Time Out, whatever it's called, Time After Time, and took that melody and that extension as a really pure kind of thing of. I think sometimes we're too locked into saying, lyrically we've got to have the same words, this and that. If you're that inspired like Coltrane was, my favorite things, like I said, Miles Davis, that's a whole new parameter. So in that sense, I mean, we had problems out of Mama 3 when we did a cover version of Hotel California, which is, and we had to actively apply to Glenn Frey for permission to use the track, and he was sufficiently impressed with our recalibration of it to allow it to go through. So he could have put a mocker on it, like Noel Gallagher did with the Smurfs. So,
Well, someone once said the highest form of flattery is imitation. I don't remember who it was.
Amateurs plagiarize, true artists steal.
Yeah.
How's it going? That's George. What's his name, man?
How about being covered?
No, that's
Was
Picasso.
YouTube been covered? And was it great, or was it? Because we met someone in Nashville in September last year. And he was, I think it must be in his mid-late 50s. Don't want to insult anyone here, but be careful. But he said that he used to be in a band, and having seen us play in Nashville, he sent us a message a few weeks later, and he got his band back together, and they resurfaced as a Curse Lono cover band. And he was from New Jersey, so there's a Curse Lono cover band, and they do hard rock versions of some of our songs. They sent us some snippets, and we had a girl who did a version on the auto harp of one of our songs, a folky version, and it's quite a mad thing to sit there and that someone bothered to learn the fucking chords. I think, how have you guys had any mad cover shit going on?
Yeah, I found there's a song that Bob, like a murder ballad that Bob Frank and I wrote, that someone with I think it's a French electronica kind of person like did a cover of it, but it's totally sideways. Her accent is really strange. There's a Scottish lad, like a Glaswegian, who did it's really good. If I'd recorded Wrong Man that way, I'd be rich. But like his accent is so strange. So when he says, it's like if Neil were singing it, you know what I mean? It'd be like, what the hell? Some of these words don't make sense.
Only encouraged nobody wants to hear that.
I reckon we should start a wedding band where Neil's the singer.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
I'd go for that. Let's do it.
I'll play the cajon. We could have Larry on the ukulele.
Larry on drums.
we just constantly do You Can Leave Your Hat On.
Joe on the auto harp.
Let's give it a go.
I don't have high hopes for how long these marriages are going to last. If we're speaking of doing live covers, Felix, can I just ask you, do you think the cover version is more suited to the live environment? Is there more pressure? Obviously more pressure, but is there more pressure to be inventive if you're actually, recording it for posterity on an album?
I think so. For me, I don't think it's the same for everyone, but for me, I've never really, apart from, we did that live stripped back record last year, so where we included a cover. We don't normally do it on albums. or we haven't done yet. Whereas live, it can really help. It's certainly in certain settings. If you're playing at a festival, and you never know at a festival how much are they your crowd, or are they just there to see the person who's on after you. And a cover can sometimes help, help people find an entry point into what you're doing. And I found that with the Tom Waits cover, we had that near the end of the set, and then we sort of moved it forward a bit, because some people suddenly, you can see in their faces, they hear that, and then they're hooked in and they pay attention. So I think it's quite a useful tool when you play live. Absolutely. As a support band as well, if you give them something which you think the headline act, their audience might appreciate it, you just, sometimes as a live performance, you're just trying to find ways in, aren't you, to get them to shut up, stop talking to their mate, and just have a listen for a minute. And I think a cover can be very useful for that. I think to put it on a record, you then have to kind of go, am I giving something that's important enough that makes sense on a record? And I think that just depends on the artist on the record or whatever.
I have a weird. I do one on every record.
Well, you want to just do an album of just covers, don't you?
Yeah. I think my songs suck. I don't like my own songs. That's part of it. But the other thing is, like, I kind of think if you can find the right cover, right, then you can, if you can get it to, if you can situate it within. I don't know. Each one of the covers has a specific sort of time and place and relation. Like it's a personal relationship, the thing that I have with the song itself. So if it can fit, into the narrative of the record, then if it can somehow fit into the narrative of its own historical place or whatever.
Go on, Larry.
Go for it, Larry.
Can I just drop in? I mean,
go ahead, man.
Sorry, Mr. Murray. Sorry, but can we just drop it? I mean, it's all well and good us doing these wonderful, like, verbatim covers, but what's very interesting with hip hop, particularly, is the reclamation or the stealing of riffs, which turn into bigger monsters. I mean, I think it's very interesting how, stuff like Gabrielle Rise robbing off Knocking on Heaven's Door, P. Diddy ripping off Led Zeppelin, or sampled Nas actually sampled Alabama 3 for Get Yourself a Gun. I think in terms of cover version, how we're all using it now, and technology allows us to take little snippets of cover versions and make different songs out of them, which is a whole new. We don't have to particularly be per se bang on the money verbatim of the song. We could take a sample, and Alabama 3 have always done that. We'll rip off a gospel track from 1930s and turn it into another anthem. So cover versions are kind of quite mellifluous.
You should sample Nas and steal it back.
Good idea.
Sample with God on Our Side and the Patriot Game, and then confuse everyone. Like, I mean, most everything's rewritten anyhow, right?
Well, Jay-Z sampled Nas. Nas sampled Alabama 3 off the track "Will Get Yourself a Gun," and then Jay-Z sampled Nas in a beat.
They both sampled Chuggy Yoda, so so.
Guys, I just want to go. I just want to quickly go to the message board. This one has caught my attention. Tom Findley has just messaged.
Oh,
I know that guy.
Brilliant, man.
I think we've all met him.
The new covers band.
Last time.
The new covers band we just set up. Larry on the drums, Neil on vocals, etc. He just said that that's worth getting married again. So I think we've got a gig, guys. I think we've got.
You know how long that marriage would last? Like,
we have our first booking. Excellent.
What number marriage is that for Mr.
That ain't a paying gig, lads. That's not a paying gig. I've tried to deal with that man before he doesn't pay.
Moving on. We've had some interesting messages up on the notice board, actually. Last week we were accused of not being live. And we'd like to address this. We are absolutely live tonight, and we were last week. Sarah Blyther throws out the question, wonder what song has been covered most? What do you guys think? Any ideas?
Happy birthday. No, it's not Happy Birthday, because you have to pay Michael Jackson for that. He's dead.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's an old gospel song of sorts, an old gospel.
Happy Birthday? No, it's actually Michael Jackson. The publishing's actually owned by Michael Jackson's estate. No shit. That's why in the movies, people don't sing Happy Birthday.
Yeah, apparently the Boy Scouts, they tried to sue the Boy Scouts, didn't they?
Yeah.
For singing that.
Yeah, but somebody
can't sing Happy Birthday around the campfire.
We've had another message in, actually, a request from Paul Mason, who asks, John, how about doing the Ballad of John and Yoko? Would you be up for that?
Yeah, that'd be kind of class, Paul.
If you could sing it with Yoko, man.
Yeah, that'd be class.
Well, we might have a contact on that. Roland, Roland McGuire. Hi, Roland. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Worst cover, Michael Bolton's When a Man Loves a Woman. He says you will need bleach for your ears if you hear it. I've heard it. It's horrific. We'll be talking a little bit more in the show throughout tonight about some terrible cover versions of stuff. Paul Rosser, hi guys. Saw you all at Ramblerman Roots Festival in High Wycombe. That was a fun one. Immense. Loved Hey Negrita, he adds. Thank you very much.
That wasn't Hey Negrita, though, was it?
No, it was probably a long time.
Gig.
Oliver Gray, hi to you, Oliver. Request John Murray's version of Don't Dream It's Over.
Oh, that is good.
Excellent. Well, I think we're going to be heading into another video very soon. It's going to be John Murray with his cover of John Prine's Lake Marie.
Whee.
We were standing by peaceful waters, standing by peaceful waters. Oh, 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 oh. Many years ago, on the Illinois-Wisconsin border, there was this Indian tribe. Found 2 babies in the woods. These white babies. One of them was named Elizabeth. She was the fairer of the 2. While the smaller and more fragile one was named Marie. Having never seen white girls before, living on the 2 lakes known as the Twin Lakes, they named the larger and more beautiful lake, Lake Elizabeth. That's the smaller lake that was hidden from the highway, became known forever as Lake Marie. We were standing by peaceful waters, standing by peaceful waters. Oh, oh. Later, I found myself talking to this girl who was standing there with her back turned to Lake Marie. The wind was blowing, especially through her hair. There's 4 Italian sausages cooking on an outdoor grill. Man, they were sizzling. Many years later, we found ourselves in Canada, trying to save our marriage. Perhaps catch a few fish, whatever seemed easier. That night she fell asleep in my arms, humming the tune to Luai Luai, ah baby. We gotta go now. We were standing by peaceful waters, standing by peaceful waters. Were barking as cars were barking, the loan sharks were sharking, the narcs were narking. Practically everyone was there in the parking lot by that forest preserve. The police had found 2 bodies in the woods, naked bodies, their faces horribly disfigured by some sharp object. Saw it on the news, on the television news. Black and white video. You know what blood looks like in a black and white video, Haley? Looks like shadows. Shadows. That's exactly what it looks like. All the love we share between her and me was slammed up against the banks of old Lake Marie. Marie! We were standing waters. We're standing by peaceful waters. Oh, ah, oh, ah, oh. Oh, ah, oh, we were standing by peaceful waters. Standing by peaceful waters. Oh, whoa, whoa. Oh, baby, you gotta go now. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, we're going to be taking a more irreverent look at some of the best and worst cover versions out there walking the streets of society today. It's a hugely interesting area of debate, the old cover tunes saga, and always one discussed furiously amongst music fans. One man's meat is another man's poison, and it's very much a personal point of view when it comes to appreciating or not another interpretation of a piece of music. As we're about to take a look at, things can go decidedly either way when it comes to releasing songs that fall into the covers category. Larry, can I ask you, if you could choose any band to cover one of your songs, who would it be and what song would it be? I'll put you on the spot here. Have a think. I'll throw it out to the rest of you in a second. But
Migos covering You Don't Dance to Techno Anymore.
Oh, okay. Good choice. What's the chances of that actually happening, do you think? Are they listening in tonight, by any chance?
I'll talk to Jay-Z later and Nas, yeah.
What about you, Felix? If you could choose any band on the planet to cover one of your songs.
The Smurfs. Definitely the Smurfs. Way to Mars, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the Smurfs do. The Smurfs or or the Muppets. That would just be... I'd retire after that.
What about you? What about you, Mr. Murray?
I want to hear Celine Dion do Little Color Balloons. That'd be great.
Oh, I was actually going to suggest that. I said, or possibly an orchestral arrangement of that would be.
I want a real Titanic kind of version. You know?
Oh, okay. I like that one. Very quickly, guys, I'm going to run through some catastrophic covers that have been released over the years, and I urge all the viewers listening in tonight to check these out. I'm going to ask you if you can see who did these. Now, in 1999. The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy was covered by a UK band. Who was it?
The Happy Mondays. I know you guys will hate it. I fucking love that version.
Oh dear.
I know. I think I'm the only person in the country who liked that. I love that.
It was described as a shambolic cover that didn't do well and sounded like it was recorded during a particularly heavy day of quite possibly illegal intoxication in the street.
There's a bit in the middle where he's shouting something and it sounds like, Felix, this one's for you. And it's obviously not, but I loved that when it came out.
Wicked, mate. Don't mess with the Mondays, man.
Well, I know. It's unrecognizable from the original.
I was in the Priory when that came out and I fucking loved it.
Wow. Well, we'll give you that one, Felix. In 1967, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds by the Beatles was covered by an artist. Who do you think that might have been?
William Shatner.
Well done. We'll give that one to Larry. He was.
Yeah, no! Oh, damn it! Come on, man!
Which, by the way, is a wicked cover version.
It is a good cover. A lot of people say it's brilliant.
No, it's not.
Singularity is near.
It was originally thought to be a parody upon its release, and from the album The Transformed Man, one of the most mocked albums of all time. Shatner was quoted.
They don't know it. Nobody
He was quoted as saying at the time when he recorded it, he wanted to record it in the voice of someone on LSD. I've never heard anyone tripping and making noises like that. It dumbfounded me, that one. But there we go. We'll give that one to Larry. In the year 2000, I Can't Get No Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones was covered by which artist?
Britney Spears?
Felix, straight in there. Excellent job. An addition to Britney's second studio record, Oops, I Did It Again, and she certainly did. Mick Jagger was alerted to this cover after hearing it through the walls of his daughter's bedroom and was quoted as saying that he really liked her version of it, but could possibly turn it down a notch. One must assume that he was either just being polite or on some form of prescription narcotics at the time. Keith Richards was, however, unfortunately unavailable for comment.
Mm.
We'll give that one to you. In 2011, Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana was covered by whom?
Oh, I'll go. Miley Cyrus.
Well done. The daughter of Billy Ray was utterly lambasted for defending her choice of cover by saying that Nirvana gave her the inspiration to be a musical success, although quite how they inspired Hannah Montana.
I miss Hannah.
Well, it's only hers to explain. If Kurt Cobain could kill himself again after hearing this,
I
he
think he
probably
would.
would. In 2009, Wild Horses, again by the Rolling Stones, was covered by whom?
Susan Boyle.
Well done, Mr. Larry Love. Not a version.
Which, by the way, is beautiful.
Not a version.
That's it. She's got a lovely voice. Like, let's be honest. Oh, I think there's some sexy fat. There's some like body shaming stuff going on there with her.
I would urge viewers tonight to check that one out. Not a version destined to be heard through the walls of Mick Jagger's daughter's bedroom, I would add. To me, I had a little listen to that this week, likened it very much to the demo button on a Yamaha mid-range keyboard. About as close as I could get to it. And moving on to some cool covers. Boys, sometimes music is written by someone else.
Mm.
A song stands up for itself. And some of the best known and successful works have actually been written by other songwriters from those who are famous for them. Irony dictates that it's the cover of another's work that gets them a recognition. In 1956, Elvis became very, very popular with blue suede shoes. Who wrote it?
Carl Perkins.
Very good.
Very well done, Mr. Murray. You're catching up on this one. One of Elvis's most celebrated songs on his debut album, and the track he performed live on TV none other than 3 times. In 1956, that was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Carl.
What about Hound Dog, written by a Big Mama
Big
Thornton?
Mama Thornton. That's it, Larry. Come on now. Let's talk about Elvis some more. Hey.
If we had time. In 1983, Girls Just Want to Have Fun was made famous by Cyndi Lauper, who wrote the original.
Who wrote the original?
William Shatner.
Good guess.
Well,
That's incorrect. It was Robert Hazard. Anyone heard of him before?
No, that's pervy.
I bet he's made a few quid off that one. Songwriter Robert Hazard. It quickly took root as a modern feminist anthem, and it has been covered by over 30 other artists officially.
Makes sense.
So there we go. That may be answering the question that was put in earlier on. In 2002, Johnny Cash released Hurt. Who wrote the original?
Trent Reznor.
Well done. Straight in there. Nine Inch Nails, a haunting version. One of the last releases before his death, was praised by its original songwriter, Trent Reznor, for its sincerity and meaning. He also went on to say he didn't feel the song was his anymore. Much praise indeed.
He didn't like it at first. He didn't like the idea until he heard it.
Mhm.
He thought it was I think that's brilliant.
All right, let's see if you can get this one. In 1979, I Fought the Law was released by The Clash. Who wrote the original of this?
Bobby Fuller.
Incorrect.
Bobby Fuller did write. Oh, he didn't write it. God damn it! Shit.
Incorrect. It was popularized.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It was actually written by the Crickets. So we're going to deduct a point from there from Mr. Murray.
Oh, that's darn. Come on, Neil.
And in 1977, a song called Cocaine was made famous.
JJ Cale.
Oh,
I take that, John. I take that.
No, you got that. No, I know. That sucks.
Right in there. One of several of Cale's songs that
Better
Clapton used to cover.
I still prefer the JJ Cale version by a long way.
With the drum machine and stuff.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Cocaine was a big hit for Eric in more ways than one. Although the song's anti-drugs message was somewhat ambiguous in its delivery, Clapton chose not to play the song live for many years, citing that its message was often confused in its glorification. God forbid. Shocking. Right, I want to ask Larry Love quick question. What's your best cover version ever?
What?
Who can you think of as the best ever cover, in your opinion?
Gin and Juice.
Gin and Juice.
Oh yeah, man, that's fucking brilliant.
The boards.
And what about the worst one?
Eric Clapton, I Shot the Sheriff.
Yeah, I was gonna
Just
go
when he
there.
told everyone to vote for the BNP, the fucking racist twat.
A very strange stat that I saw earlier on about that. That is Eric Clapton's first and only #1 single. Is his cover of "I Shot the Sheriff."
Wow.
Told everyone to vote for Enoch Powell. What a cool blues player you are, Eric.
There's a way to destroy a career.
What about you, Mr. Felix? What's your best cover, in your opinion?
Aretha Franklin, Respect.
Okay. And what's your worst?
Madonna, American Pie.
Oh,
That was upsetting.
Well, the video was
That was weird.
That was fucking upsetting when that came
weird.
out.
Like, that was weird.
not.
It's hard. Yeah.
It had this weird video that I know it was horrible.
I like the video, man.
You did.
Oh, you would though. You would though.
What about you, Mr. Murray? What's been your best cover, in your opinion? Who's done it?
Richard Thompson's "Oops, I Did It Again."
Okay.
No, I swear it's just brilliant.
I'll have to
I mean,
check
it's
that one.
brilliant.
You
It's good.
I will do that straight after the show. What's your worst one?
I think we'll just go with some more Clapton bashing on this one, like Crossroads.
Okay.
Just keep going with blues song. I can just keep going with blues songs that he did. Like, you want me to? Yeah, I mean,
We're in big trouble. What about you, Joe? What's your best cover?
Do you know what? I couldn't name a worse one. I'll go two really good ones. Joe Cocker, but not the one you think. It's Joe Cocker does a cover of Jackson Brown's song "Jamaica Say You Will," which is just his best vocal performance ever, and it melts me. Gospel influences. Felix, you'd hate it because it's got a saxophone solo, but I love it.
You borrowed my guitar once.
Joe Cocker.
No, Jackson Brown. When we were in,
We
in
were
Norway.
in Norway. Yeah, we were up in Norway doing a festival or something.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what about-
What else? I'd say what else. I implore anyone watching to YouTube. It's Peter Gabriel doing a cover of Heroes, but it's specifically the live version. It's easy to find on. It's in the amphitheater at Verona, and it's just with it's an orchestral version, and it's got all of the visual wizardry and kind of grandiose drama you'd expect of Peter Gabriel. And honestly, I've seen it a billion times, and I cry every time I watch it. Gabriel Heroes live, it's unbelievable. Honestly.
And on that closing note, Joe, what's been your worst?
Oh man, I couldn't.
Go on.
Limp, who are a band from my childhood, who I was quite into in the early 2000s as a young teenager. They did an appalling version of The Who's "Behind Blue Eyes," which is unlistenable.
Oh, well, there we go. I'm sure everyone's got their opinions on best and worst covers. We want to hear yours tonight. Stick it up on the Submarine Cat chat room. We'd love to see what you guys think out there. Any messages up there?
Yes, we've had an absolute ton. So writing them down as we go along somewhere. We've had a couple of thoughts on the most covered song ever. So Sarah Blyther says, statistically, it's "Yesterday" by the Beatles.
Already "Hey Jude" at #2, isn't it?
David Caxon, I think I've pronounced that correctly. He reckons Louis Louis. Apparently, there's actually a specific day in the calendar called Louis Louis Day because it's been covered so many times. What else we had? We've had suggestions from, I'm going to rattle through them, of best covers ever. Gary Aston says Manfred Mann's Earth Band with their cover of "Blinded by the Light" by Springsteen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's good, man.
I'm a big fan of that song, of that version.
It was like douche, not deuce, though. Can we be honest?
Jeff Elgie, or LG, Jeff Elgie says the one that frustrates him the most is "Madness" with "It Must Be Love." He says, although a great song, people don't realise the original was by Labi Siffre. Guido Mometz, the finest promoter in all of Europe, we must say.
Hi, Guido.
He says Eric Burden and
Guido. Sorry.
There's Eric Burden and the Animals with "To Love Somebody" by the Bee Gees. Janis Joplin did a good version of that as well. Who have we else we got? Roland Maguire. I did check this video out. The Leningrad Cowboys and the Red Army Choir with "Sweet Home Alabama" It's
Yeah, no, I saw that too. That's brilliant. That's
honestly one of the most
brilliant.
simultaneously weird and bizarre things I've ever
That's
seen.
brilliant.
And our good friend Ardy Burskins, John, he suggested he wants to see you cover Little Wallet Picture by Richard Buckner.
I'll do that. Like that's one of.
You tried, I think, didn't you?
Well, see, the thing is, I know how to do. There's a song I wrote a song that I kind of photograph is kind of. I loved that record. I loved those first couple Richard Buckner records back then. So I feel kind of found out, like you know.
Larry, one more question. Leighton Cousins has asked, didn't you and the acoustic band do a cover of an ABBA song?
Yeah, we did. ABBA are wonderful. Yeah, we did cover The Winner Takes It All.
That's brilliant.
Say no more.
I got an ABBA cover there too as well. I love ABBA.
Don't cover the ABBA I covered, Mr. Man.
I'm not. I already did. Fucking Super Trooper, Larry. You want to fight? Super Trooper.
Speaking of covers, we're going to be going to another video.
Wait, can I ask something quickly?
Yeah.
Go on then.
How are you guys all doing? I feel like I missed you guys for a week, and
You're like,
you're all still alive. Sorry, Neil, I'm messing with your shit now. I'm sorry.
That's quite all
Are
right.
you all still alive? You're feeling
bad,
good?
man.
Anyone got any symptoms?
no, I mean, it's France.
Sorry, I just wanted to check that. Neil.
Thank you. It's
I'm
excellent.
going to be
Check the temperatures out.
you guys. I need to make sure that we're keeping our distance.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if anyone has actually noticed yet, but all the videos on tonight's show have had a little bit of a coincidence about them. Joe, do you want to introduce the next video?
We do have our third video for you, and it is our good friend Mr. Felix Bestelsheimer from Curse of Lono, who's covering Sam Stone by John Prine.
Sam Stone came home to his wife and family after serving in the conflict overseas. And the time that he served, it had shattered all his nerves, left a little shrapnel in his knee. But the morphine eased the pain, and the grass grew around his brain. It gave him all the confidence he lacked. With a purple heart and a monkey on his back, there's a hole in Daddy's arm where all the money goes. Jesus died for nothing, I suppose. Little pitchers have big ears, and don't you stop to count the years. Sweet songs never last too long on broken radios. Sam Stone was alone when he popped his last balloon, climbing walls while sitting in a chair. And the room smelled just like death as he played his last request, with an overdose hovering in the air. But life had lost its fun, there was nothing to be done. Trade his house that he bought on a GI Bill for some flag-draped casket down some local hero's hill. 'Cause there's a hole in Daddy's arm where all the money goes. Jesus Christ died for nothing, I suppose. Little pitchers have big ears, and don't you stop to count the years. Sweet songs never last too long on broken radios.
Beautiful stuff there, Felix. If I may
Thanks,
say
man.
so. What was the thinking behind choosing Sam Stone? What does that song mean to you?
Well, I got introduced to John Prine. I was out. I went to America in 2000 to grow up and come off smack and other naughty things. And I got introduced to John Prine's music over there, and I absolutely love it. And he passed away very recently, only 5 weeks ago. And Larry and I actually lost touch for a while, and we met up at a John Prine gig. What was it, a year and a half ago or something, at Rough Trade East? And I'm standing there watching John Prine, and there's Larry Love standing a few meters away, crying his eyes out. I'm crying my eyes out. And afterwards, I said, "You're looking really well, Larry." And he's like, yeah, I've got a new bird. So he introduced me to the lovely Therese. And then he said, "Therese, do you mind if I go and do a couple of shots of tequila with Felix?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And Therese was like, "No, we're going to get an autograph and we're going home. You're going to behave yourself." And he goes, "Go on, let's do a couple of shots. Just a couple."
Fiona was there, huh?
And she was like, "No, we're going to get an autograph. We're going to go home." And he goes, if you let me do a couple of shots, I'll marry you." And she went, "Oh, all right then." And off we went and had a couple of shots. And yeah, it's the last time. No, we saw John Prine again for one song in Nashville at the Americana thing. And I was crying again. I was sitting next to Karis, our bass player, and she was going, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I always cry when John Prine plays." I think he's just one of he writes those songs that you just wish you'd written. And
Yeah.
What was beautiful that night after you got me pissed in a tequila, Felix?
I don't know what happened next.
And I waited in the queue for the signing thing in the Rough Trade, and he was there with his new wife and all that. It was cool, and I wasn't sure if you can remember me. And I said, "John, do you remember we did a festival in Galway, and I persuaded you to come on?" He goes, "Man!" And I remember that day we took a load of LSD and we had a couple of purple micro dots on the side. And I said to John, "Do you want to?"
Oh, we've lost a bit of Larry Love there, have we? His video has crashed.
He took the LSD and that was it.
Yeah, the last thing I heard him talking about was LSD, and then suddenly he's, "Are you all right there, Larry?" Is it?
He's frozen.
Is
I
it?
knew this would happen at
We
some
might
point.
have to patch him back
He had
in.
a stroke.
I can finish the story.
Just while we're waiting
Johnson.
for Larry to return, we're just going to quickly go back to the message board. Thank you so much, guys, for interacting and sending in your suggestions. We should point out there is a playlist on Spotify related to this show, and the technical team behind the scenes and the bosses that run this, they are currently uploading all of your suggestions to Spotify. So anything that you suggested as your best cover, you can go onto the Spotify playlist, which is called "And the Band Played On," and you'll be able to find it there and listen to it at your pleasure. And we have Mr. Larry back. You were about to tell us something extraordinary about you and John Prine. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were playing a festival in Galway, persuaded John Prine to come on stage with us for our version of Speed the Sound of Loneliness. Prior to the gig, we did some acid, and we offered John some. He said, "Fellas, I've been doing LSD from 1971 to 1974. You go ahead and enjoy yourselves."
Yeah.
We did a 10-minute version of Speed the Sound of Loneliness, which is an acid house version, and he came on stage about 5 minutes through it. Me and D-Wayne were crying our eyes. It was beautiful. Don't take the man acid, John.
Incredible.
I've cried every time I've seen him play, and I would have loved to have met him, but no, he's fucking amazing.
A couple more messages, and then we're going to go to our final feature of the show. We had Francis Carroll. How about this one, guys? I want to ask your opinion here. Francis Carroll reckons that although Dylan is one of the greatest songwriters ever, generally any cover of his song tends to usurp his original. What do you reckon? Felix, we'll go to you first.
Some of them.
I can think of some big ones to start with.
Yeah.
All of Stout, Hendrix. John,
Ain't
what do you
Going Nowhere, I think, is just his version is still the best, and there've been so many covers of that.
Wow.
But yeah, there's something to Dylan though. It's the purity of it. Of course, you can dress these things. They're such great songs. You can tart them up a bit more, put a bit more makeup on them, and some fishnet stockings. But the songs are still pretty amazing when he plays them.
Yep.
Very true. Very true. Right. Final part of the show. We're now going to put our guests' little brain
Can I say
cells.
something about the Bob Dylan thing? All right. But he made there were what 60 something versions in 1964 of "Blowing in the Wind." That man, that's when he became a millionaire. He's not an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason. You know, he doesn't. People say the man's voice actually sounds like Nashville Skyline. Like, he's just taking the piss, but aren't we all?
Could I just say, what Adele did with "Make You Feel My Love" is an amazing version of Dylan, and that's.
I'm not gonna. That's true. It's better than Garth Brooks. That's for damn sure. You know what I mean?
That's true. I think that's one of those examples of a song where, certainly for a younger generation, that's kind of overtaken the original. You could say maybe "Hallelujah" by Jeff Buckley did the same thing with the original as well for a younger generation of people.
Which is kind of a cover of John Cale, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
funny, really. Yeah.
Incredible how they take on a life of their own. And speaking of that, let's move on to our final bit where we are going to test the lives of our guests' little brains. So we're handing over to Mr. Neil. The floor is yours for this week's quiz.
Yes, indeed. Based on a well-known, but again, for legal reasons, unnamed TV show, we're going to put the musical knowledge of our guests to the test by seeing just how intelligent they are. Again, for legal reasons, we can't mention the name of the show. We've nicked a few things from, but you'll very much get the idea. Each guest will be asked a multiple choice question and will keep progressing each time they answer correctly. The winner is whoever progresses the furthest. The questions get more challenging as they go along. Larry Love, you're first. It's not rigged at all. Larry Love,
no, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
You're first this evening, Mr. Larry Love. How are you tonight? All good?
Very good, brother. Very good.
Good, good. Glad to hear that. Right, question one. We'll keep this moving along. Sinead O'Connor wrote a hit, Nothing Compares to You. Who was it originally written by? Was it A, Queen? Was it B, Prince? Or was it C, the Duke of Kent?
The Prince.
Take your time. What are you going to go for?
Prince, B.
He's going for B, ladies and gentlemen. He's not going to phone a friend. That is the correct answer. It was Prince and not the Duke of Kent. Well done. Excellent job. Question two. Joe Cocker had success with A Little Help from My Friends. Which band wrote the original?
It's rigged.
Was it A, the Dave?
Totally rigged. Like, they just want to hear him talk. Like, this fucked up.
Was it A, the Dave Clark Five? Was it B, the Beatles? Or was it C, the Rolling Stones?
Rolling Stones.
For the Beatles.
Going for B. Is that your final answer?
My final answer. No, let me phone a friend. No.
Right here, I got you. Right here.
That is the correct answer, Larry Love. It was, in fact, the Beatles. Excellent stuff. You
Could be a millionaire.
Right. He is. He's getting very, very close. Right, here we go. Larry Love, are you ready for this one?
Ready and well.
Which George Michael hit is also a massive covers hit in the world of panpipes? Is it A, Faith? Is it B, I Want Your Sex? Or is it C, Careless Whisper?
I'm going to have to go for C, Careless Whisper. You know.
Which hit is a massive hit in the world of panpipes? He's going for C. Is that your final answer?
What's that mean?
You are correct!
He's a millionaire.
Larry Love. Very close. Your next question. This could take you all the way, Larry Love. Which year did U2 release a cover of Jimi Hendrix's All Along the Watchtower on the Rattle and Hum record? Was it A, 1988? Was it B, 1989? Or was it C, 1990?
Go for C, Neil, 1990.
He's going for C, 1990. Classic year for covers. Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
We just proved the Bob Dylan point, didn't we? He's in the question.
For £1 million. You're incorrect, Mr. Larry Love.
Yes!
It was, in fact, 1988 was the correct answer.
Yeah, that's right, Larry.
Felix, are you ready for your... Yes, that was so close. That's the closest we've come. That's
What's failure feel like, Larry? How's that feel? Failure.
Well, I'm playing, man.
Yeah.
Felix, you're next up. You ready for your question?
I'm ready, baby.
Nice, easy one to get us going. Let's get warmed up.
It better be easier than last week's because
Let's find out. Here we go. Here we go. Sit tight. Sit tight. The tension is building. Mick Hucknall from Simply Red recorded a cover of the Cole Porter Every Time We Say Goodbye. How long did the track last? Was it A, 3 minutes and 30 seconds? Was it B, 3 minutes and 37 seconds? Or was it C, 3 minutes and 42 seconds?
hey,
Not an easy one to get us going.
hey,
He's going for A, 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
it's rigged.
It's a great cover.
Oh,
Every Time We Say Goodbye, Mick Hucknall.
Larry, hang in there now.
That's the final answer, is A.
Hey.
You're incorrect.
Whoa!
You're incorrect. It was actually B, 3 minutes and 37 seconds was the length of that.
Damn, man. I'm sorry.
Unlucky. Falling at the first hurdle. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. John Murray, are you ready?
I'm so ready, Neil.
You're so
I'm so ready to be a millionaire.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay.
Range is 40 fucking.
Larry Love has got 3, 4. Is someone keeping count? 3. 3 correct, Larry Love. So you've got to beat 3, John Murray. And then become a millionaire. Here we go.
Okay.
Phil Collins covered You Can't Hurry Love, originally penned by which band? Is it A, Metallica? Is it B, Nickelback? Or is it C, The Supremes?
It would be
Nickelback.
Oh, the Supremes, I believe.
He's going for C. Is that your final answer?
I will go with final answer on that.
You're absolutely correct, John Murray. It was The Supremes.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it, Felix. Y'all hang in there. It's all right. You'll win one day.
Thank you, man.
We'll get there. We'll get
You're
there.
welcome.
Great job. Next question. John Murray, here we go. Dolly Parton got the song I Will Always Love You to #1 twice. Which other female singer
Whitney. Whitney.
had a huge hit with it? Was it A, Adele? Was it B, Beyonce? Or was it C, Whitney Houston?
Ooh, wait. Hang on. I think it was Miss Houston.
He's going to go with C,
I'm gonna say yes. I'm locking that in.
Whitney Houston.
Locking it in.
Going for that one. Final answer?
Final answer.
You're absolutely correct, John Murray. Well done. Well done indeed. Very nice indeed. You're doing phenomenally well.
Thank you.
Phenomenally well. Here we go. Here's one for you.
And they say people in Mississippi are stupid.
You get this right, you're tying with Larry Love. So let's concentrate.
Oh, look at that.
Here we go. Here we go. The Irish band The Commitments played hit covers of well-known Motown and soul hits. How many members were in the band? Was it A, 10? Was it B, 11? Or was it C, 12?
Hey.
He's going for A, 10. Is that your final answer? You're absolutely correct, John Murray. You tied Larry Love. The answer was indeed 10 members of
Roddy Doyle. Thank you. Punk Rock Roddy.
This is getting very exciting indeed, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't expect we'd get this far. Are we still on air?
Oh, we're getting there. Keep going.
All right. Excellent job. Very, very well done indeed. Loving this. Loving this. Right. Okay, John Murray, to win £1 million, which is coming out of your advance.
Whoa. That's a lot of
Here's
money
the
for an
final
American.
question. The final question. Placebo covered Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill. Which Kate Bush album was it from? Was it A, The Dream?
That's a Britpop band.
Was it B, The Hounds of Love? Or was it C, The Sensual World. For £1 million.
Can I get the A and B again?
A, The Dreaming. B, The Hounds of Love. Or C, The Sensual World. He's going for B, The Hounds of Love. Good cover, actually, Placebo did. John Murray, is that your final answer?
No, it's A.
Oh, you want to phone a friend?
I'm going with A.
He's going with A. A controversial last-minute switch to A. John Murray,
B.
will you make your mind up?
C.
What's your final answer?
C.
It's not difficult. It's A, B, or C.
It's got Tourette's.
C.
Pick one.
C.
He's going for C.
I know it's not difficult. I just want to win. C.
Are you sure? Is that your final answer? We've got to move on. All right.
Yeah, for comment.
That's his final answer is C. He shifted from B to A, and now we're at C. Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer. If you'd stuck with your original, it would have been
Damn.
B, The Hounds of Love. Never mind. We'll leave it at that. You guys draw tonight. Felix, you failed miserably.
Oh, no.
Well done. Excellent. There we go. That was
Good for me. Builds character, Neil.
this week's little quiz. There we go. Hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you very much to Question Master Neil. It provided all the tension and excitement we expected it would do. Guys, we are nearing the end of the show. There's just a couple of other bits I want to get through, a bit of any other business. Little Richard, rock and roll legend and pioneer, sadly passed away on Saturday. I'm sure I speak for all of us when I send the condolences to the family, and what a legend he was. Larry, John, Felix, I'm sure he meant an awful lot to you as writers, performers, the lot.
Yeah,
I
man.
saw him do a keynote thing at South by Southwest, and he was absolutely off his fucking tits. It was amazing.
Well,
Dude,
I
absolutely.
one time. I couldn't tell him he was off his tits or on Jesus. Like it was.
Yeah, both. It was like,
All right. His makeup was perfect, though. You know.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
He
as I
kept
said,
running off the stage, coming back, going, right. You know, it was fucking brilliant.
as I say, one of rock's truly great performers and one of the world's truly great lunatics. Now, speaking of lunatics that like a drug or two, bit of news that caught my eye. Did you see that 10,000 kilograms of Class A drugs have been seized in London over the last 6 weeks? So if anyone had an order that didn't arrive, that's probably where it's gone. What else do we see? More lunatics and drug news. Mike Tyson has announced he's planning to make a boxing comeback at 53. There you go. Rumours are he's having a third fight with Evander Holyfield. Some of you might remember last time they met in the ring.
He's still alive.
Bite that ear, Mike.
Yeah, last time they met in the ring, he bit a chunk out of Holyfield's. There you go. Finally from me, last bit of business, some good news amidst the darkness. This Saturday would have been the Eurovision Song Contest, but thank you to coronavirus for making sure that it's cancelled. So anyone that was planning to watch Eurovision can do something more productive, like washing your hair or jumping off a cliff, or you know, doing some ironing. Guys, any other business from you? Anything that you want to quickly put to rights or you've seen that's caught your eye? The floor is yours.
I'm bored, man. I'm bored.
In which case, that is the signal we need.
Not with this. I'm bored with this fucking lockdown nonsense. I want to.
Yeah, I'm bored with this shit.
Other than that, I'm all good. Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll
No
get
business.
Everyone's doing a fantastic job so far by self-isolating. It's not easy by any means, but I think we're making a dent in it. We're getting there.
Clap for Boris.
I wanna run with that.
I wouldn't go that far, but
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's just about it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to And the Band Played On. Thank you for all your suggestions and comments. We really appreciate it. Quick thank yous from us to Jack, Carlos and Darren, who are the big bosses behind the scenes, for all the production work putting this together. They put in a hell of a lot of work and they do a great job. So thank you, guys.
excellent stuff. Thanks also so much to our amazing guests tonight, as you can get on a show. Mr. Larry Love from the Alabama 3, Felix Bechtelsheimer from Curse of Lono, and Mr. John Murray. Thank you awfully, guys, for joining us tonight. A huge thank you to you out there watching tonight. We wouldn't be anything without an audience, so thank you immensely for sharing an hour or so of your lives with us. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and please keep your comments and thoughts coming in throughout the week. Any ideas, chuck them over. We'd love to hear them. If you haven't already, please like and follow the Submarine Cat Music Facebook page for more information about future shows, as well as all the up-to-date information about all our guests on the show today. From Joe and myself and all of our beautiful hosts and guests, thank you for tuning in. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and we'll be seeing you out there very soon. We're playing out the show with a very special announcement from Mr. Larry Love. Over to you.
I just want to say, brothers and sisters, in this time of trials and tribulations, in this time of sufferings and pain and early departures from those who should have been here partying, that right now in this beautiful kind of moment, as a little girl arrived, her name is Aubrey Allen. This is dedicated to her mother Jane and her father Jonathan. These 4 little babies born in lockdown. Good night, God bless. One love.
Thanks for watching. Ta-ta.
You had your eyes on the prize when you decided to arrive, slap bang in the middle of a hurricane. I came up kicking like a unicorn while the world and his wife tried to hide away. Down came the rain, your daddy explained, well, it ain't gonna rain forever. We all raised a glass, your mother, she laughed, the immaculate, the deception. You came out of the blue, a moonbeam of many colors, with a twinkle in your eye like a star shining bright on tomorrow. Come the day you found under the rocking chair in the lounge the raspberry cheesecake recipe for your grandmother. We tried to wet your head, but the government said ain't no wetting babies' heads in a lockdown. So we all kept our distance, promised we would link up when the world was ready to come around. In came a storm, the minister warned, Mother Nature might just need an umbrella. The sun came out, all we could talk about was the immaculate, a deception. You came out of the blue, a moonbeam of many colors, with a twinkle in your eye, like the stars shining bright on tomorrow. Come the day you found under the rocking chair in the lounge a raspberry cheesecake recipe from your grandmother. Sweet, sweet Aubrey, from Tipperary to Tennessee, they sing about you, your recipe, the whole world over. Sweet, sweet Aubrey, as your mother set the table for tea. Me and your Uncle Ray wanna come on over. Down came the rain, your daddy explained, well, it ain't gonna rain forever. So you all raised a glass, your mother, she laughed about the immaculate, the deception. You came out of the blue, a moonbeam of many colors, with a twinkle in your eye like a star shining bright on tomorrow. Come the day you found under the rocking chair in the lounge. Come the day you found under the rocking chair in the lounge a raspberry cheesecake recipe from your grandmother.